Hi, I'm Marie. Welcome to Marie's Kitchen. I'm so glad you're back. So last week I got an email from Suzanne who requested holiday cookie recipes. And so that's what we're doing today. We're making my favorite holiday cookie, vanilla almond biscotti. And we have been making this biscotti since I was young, and my family would always make several batches, have a huge bin of them, decorate them with chocolate and sprinkles, and then go and deliver them to friends and neighbors. And it was always just such a happy memory. The friends were always so excited to get them and loved them. They're such kind of a unique cookie, not overly sweet, but still really delicious. The other great thing about biscotti is that, well, first of all, they are so easy to make. This is a one bowl recipe. Y'all know I love those. And all you'll need is just a fork really to bring these together. The other great thing is that biscotti are very durable and can be made in advance. Historically speaking, that's really what made biscotti so popular, because sailors could take them on voyages with them without having to worry about them going bad. Biscotti actually means twice baked, and it's that second baking that cooks a lot of the moisture out of the cookie, which makes it then more resistant to mold. So these keep for a long time, 2 to 3 weeks at least, in an airtight container. So make them in advance and have them ready to give away to friends, teachers, and neighbors throughout the season. I can't wait to share this one with you. Let's get started. First step, we'll need 3/4 cup sugar. Pour that in a bowl. Then we're gonna add 1/4 cup of a neutral oil. You can use light olive oil, you can use refined coconut oil, avocado oil, canola oil, whatever neutral flavored oil that you like best, you can use, and it's 1/4 cup of that. So we're gonna just pour that right in. Now we'll add our 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon vanilla extract. Yes, that is a lot, but trust me, the flavor is so good. Next up is 1 teaspoon almond extract. And now we'll add our 2 eggs. For baking, room temperature eggs are always best. They mix in a lot more easily into your other ingredients. So grab your eggs right before you start baking and leave them out while you get everything else together. Now we're just gonna stir this together with a fork. Super simple. You can already smell the vanilla and almond. It smells so good. Okay, now for the dry ingredients. We'll need 1 3/4 cup all-purpose flour. I'm just gonna kind of fluff the flour up and then scoop in. Then level that off. To that we'll add about 1/4 teaspoon salt and 1 teaspoon baking powder. That's it. That's everything. We're just going to mix this up. I kind of try to mix the dry ingredients together. It's one of my little one bowl techniques. You kind of mix the dry together first. You can do it in a separate bowl if you like, but I just try to, you know, less equipment is always better. As your dough just starts to come together, then we'll add our nuts. This is 3/4 cup finely chopped pecans. You can use another nut. Walnuts or almonds are very traditional. And these I actually bought already chopped. They're called cookie pieces, so look for those. It makes it really easy. No chopping involved. Just pour those right in. And then we'll mix this up. And you'll have a really sticky dough here. Oh, and of course, if you don't want to use nuts for allergy reasons, you can sub in some mini chocolate chips. You could sub in some finely chopped cranberries or small currants. Lots of options there, whatever you'd like. The cookie is vanilla and almond, so it's a pretty neutral flavor and really goes with just about anything. Now we're gonna preheat our oven to 300 degrees and put these out on a parchment lined cookie sheet. So let me grab that. So as I mentioned, this dough is really sticky, so it's a little bit hard to work with, but I'm going to show you a trick for that. So kind of divide the dough in half. I never ever get it exactly right, so don't worry if you don't either. Just going to set that here. And then the key to working with really any kind of sticky dough is, one, you can always refrigerate it. Chilling it will take some of that stickiness out. But what I like to do is just use a little water on my hands and that will take the stickiness out. So we just take half the dough here, a big ball here, and we're just gonna set it on one side of the parchment lined baking sheet, and then the other half over here. And then I'll try to divide this up so it's sort of even. Like I said, I never get it right. There's always one log that's bigger than the other. So a little more water, and then we're just gonna press this down. You want it about 8 inches long and 4 inches wide. And I always have a measuring tape in my kitchen because, you know, I like to be able to tell y'all the measurements so you know what you're doing. But if you don't have one, you can just estimate. And you can make these different sizes. Say you like the really small biscotti, you can make the long, narrow log, whatever you like. These biscotti come out a little bit on the kind of the bigger size, kind of like you might see at Starbucks, a little bit longer. So that's what you're getting with this shape. So again, this is about using my little water here to prevent it from sticking to my hands. And then we just spread it out into our 8-inch by about 4-inch log. And this will spread a little bit, so you'll end up with about 5-inch biscotti. And if you're wondering how we get biscotti out of this shape, I will show you. What we're gonna do once we get this nice and flat, and it's about a 1/2 inch tall, so maybe just, you know, 1 finger width tall is what you're going for. Just sort of estimating is fine. Let me rinse my hands real quick. Okay, I've got the oven preheating to 300 degrees, and real quick I want to show you, or just kind of tell you how we get this cool biscotti shape. What we're going to do is bake these like this, and they'll spread just a little bit, puff up just a little bit. Then we're going to take them out of the oven and cut them into our biscotti pieces this direction. Then you flip them on the side, bake them again the second time to get that nice crunchy texture, and then they're ready to decorate. So that's how you get biscotti from this strange shape. It's always so fascinating to me. All right, let's pop these in the oven. We're gonna bake them for about 30 minutes, just until golden. You don't want them hard. If you bake them to where they're very hard, it'll be difficult to cut through them. So you want them firm, but a little bit soft so you can cut through them with a knife into your biscottis. All right, let's pop these in the oven. Surprise! Here are some that are already done. Shocking, right? On a cooking show. I did make these last night, so here are the biscotti after the first bake. Now these have cooled because I made them last night, but what you'll want to do is just pull the parchment off the biscotti and you have this long piece like that. And the same one with the other one. If it's hot, let it cool for a little bit. There's no rush. Now we'll grab a cutting board and cut these into our individual biscotti. All right, so we'll just take one over here on our cutting board. I have a long, thin knife, nice and sharp. And the first thing I do is I kind of cut off the end piece here, that rounded end piece. And then we'll just cut them into whatever size you like. It's probably about 1 inch wide. And just cut right down. See how the biscotti is firm, but it's not so hard that we are not able to cut through it. So just the right consistency. Cut through these. And it makes about 10 or 11 biscotti per log. We'll trim the end off there. And then we've got our next one here. Now we'll grab a new sheet of parchment here for our pan, and then we can just move these right over, and you just turn them on their side there so they stand kind of upright. Set them out on your tray. You want to give a little space between them so they do have, you know, room for air to flow, and so they get nice and crisp. And then these extra pieces I always put on there, and then we just snack on those later. And then now we'll cut our next log, trim the end off here, and then cut your biscotti into pieces. I have a favorite memory of going to a Christmas party with my parents when I was in probably 4th or 5th grade. Brought my best friend with me, and we were running around, and I think we snuck a little taste of the eggnog, which had alcohol in it, but we just wanted to taste it. And then we had some biscotti, and I remember this biscotti was so hard. It was going to break your tooth. So we ran to find a trash can and threw that away. And I vowed never to make biscotti that hard, because it's not, I mean, unless you're dipping it in coffee, it's just, you can't even eat it. So these biscotti, I think, have a perfect texture. They are firm enough to hold up if you want to dip them in coffee, but they're also have a nice tender bite. So just the right texture. All right, we'll move these over. There we go. And our little end pieces in there. Now for the second baking, we're going to reduce the heat in the oven to 200 degrees. So you just have a warm oven that's really just crisping them up without making them too brown. You want them just barely golden but nice and crisp. So back in the oven at 200 for about 25 to 30 minutes more. Okay, now here we have some cooled biscotti. We twice baked it and then cooled it completely, so now we're ready to decorate it. I'm going to set these aside and give you a quick lesson on how to melt chocolate. And if you already know, you're welcome to fast forward, or maybe you'll learn something. So this is how I melt chocolate. This is called a homemade double boiler. Very simple. All you'll need is a small pot, and you're going to put some water in the bottom. Then we set a bowl on top, and the main thing is that you just don't want the water in the pot to actually touch the bowl. You just want it just right under it. So this is a homemade double boiler. You can buy actual contraptions that's called a double boiler, but there's really no need when you can make one of these at home. So the great thing about using a double boiler is that when you melt chocolate, you don't want direct heat on the chocolate. Direct heat will very quickly burn the chocolate, and then you have to throw it out and start over. So using this method, you've got indirect heat that melts the chocolate and very nicely. So this is a great method. We're going to just pour our white chocolate chips into the bowl. Then we'll put this on a fire of about medium to medium-low heat, and as soon as the water heats up, it'll start to melt the chocolate. You just want to stir it, to help it melt a little quicker. Chocolate chips are actually designed not to melt, so these take a little longer. If you wanted to use a bar of white chocolate, that would work. It probably melts a little faster. So let's pop this on the stove, get that melting. The main thing with chocolate is you don't want to get any water in the actual chocolate. That can cause it to seize up. So no direct heat, no water, and you'll be good. Now, I did melt these. These are actually called candy melts, and you can buy these at Michael's or some grocery stores. You may not want to use them, but they are out there, and these are actually really easy to melt in the microwave. And the fun thing about candy melts is that they do have other colors. So they have red, green, any that you want to use for the holidays. So I do have a couple of these that I'm going to use also to decorate, and I'll show you how to do that. And then also we have some holiday sprinkles that are great to use, and they stick right on the chocolate. And then if you don't celebrate Christmas, no problem. You can still enjoy these biscotti and decorate them. These are some gold and white sprinkles, or if maybe it's not Christmas, we make these for Easter or other occasions. So whatever seasonal sprinkles you have will be great. I do recommend using a baking sheet lined with parchment and then a drying rack on top. What I like to do first is just kind of lightly brush the biscotti off in case there's any, remaining crumbs on there. And then I just use a knife and spread it on like this. Some people dip, but I kind of get a light, even coating this way, so this is what I do. Just brush it on with a knife like this. And you can do a little on the bottom, like that. And there is your decorated biscotti. Now, you can leave it just like this. These are gorgeous. Very simple, but if you want to add sprinkles, you do that now and they'll stick on there. So we'll just sprinkle some little holiday sprinkles on there. So cute. And this is really fun to do with kids. My kids love to do this. I'm going to have to drag them in as soon as they get home from school. So we'll set these here to dry, and I'll do one more. Again, just brush off the crumbs there. Add some chocolate. Okay, now to decorate this one, I want to show you a little hack I have. So what I do is I grab a Ziploc sandwich bag, and what you're going to do is just trim off the very, very, very end of the bag here, just a tiny little corner. So what that does is it makes a little hole in the bottom of the bag. And now you have a homemade piping bag. So what we'll do is just grab our other colored chocolate. It could be red, green, or white. And then you're just going to put some chocolate in there and squeeze it down into this little corner that we made here, this little hole. So all we're going to do is just drizzle that right over the chocolate like that. So fancy, so easy. I love this method. Real quick, I want to show you our chocolate that we melted in the double boiler. We just melted it, over the pot with the hot water until it got nice and soft. And there we have our melted white chocolate. So now we can use that to decorate as well. Now we can add some sprinkles to this one. Little green sprinkles on. Whoops, that was a lot. Now, as always, we are not going for perfection with anything in the kitchen. I have never heard of someone that said, I'm not going to eat that biscotti. It was not perfectly decorated. So have fun with this. Get your kids involved. Make a mess, whatever. Just make some really delicious biscotti that you can share with friends and neighbors over the holidays. Thanks so much for joining us on Marie's Kitchen. Today we made these easy and delicious biscotti decorated for the holidays. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for your request for holiday cookies. I love hearing from viewers, so leave me a comment or send me an email. My email is marie@marieseba.com, and I'll get back to you personally, so send any requests my way. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. We so appreciate your likes, and it means a lot to YouTube as well. That's how they decide who else sees this video. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. I've got lots more videos coming up with easy recipes just like this, and I don't want you to miss any of them. For this recipe and more, check out my website, marieseba.com. There you can go and print out this recipe and all my recipes. And if you like, punch holes in them, put them in a notebook, and make your very own Marie's Kitchen cookbook for free. My goal is to give you some really easy recipes that turn out great every time, so you can build some confidence in the kitchen and feel really inspired to share good food with people that you love. From my kitchen to yours, thank you.